Hello, how are you? I want to do a quick review of a book that was sent to me last week, and I read it on a flight over the weekend and I really liked it, and it's called I Am Malala: How One Girl Stood Up for Education and Changed the World by Malala Yousafzai with Patricia McCormick. Now, there is a previous edition of this book that came out in 2013 called I Am Malala: How One Girl Stood Up for Education and was shot by the Taliban, I believe. Then last year there was a young readers edition that was released, that's this one, and it's been re-released this year, this month, to coincide with the movie launch. I think there's a movie coming out called He Named Me Malala. I think it's coming out in November. So this is a teen edition. The previous edition was co-written with a journalist called Christina Lamb. This one is written with Patricia McCormick. I haven't read the previous one, so honestly I can't map the differences. All I know that this one is written for young people, and I really liked it. I'm sure you know the story of Malala Yousafzai. I really hope you know it. Basically, Malala was born in Pakistan, grew up in a region called the Swat Valley there. The Taliban took control of that region when she was 10 years old, and throughout the next few years, her father, who was the headmaster, the owner of the school she went to and a couple of other schools, he was continually intimidated by the Taliban because they did not want girls going to school, because they said that was against the country's religion. It's not what women should be doing. Many schools were bombed, many schools were shut down and destroyed. Malala continued going to school throughout this along with her classmates. When she was 15 in October 2012, girls were allowed to go to school again. There were various conditions surrounding that, like how they had to dress and that kind of thing. It was allowed. Now, Malala was already receiving attention in the press before she was shot. She had a blog. She did a blog on the BBC website where she would write about what it was like to want an education and not be allowed to have one. And she'd done various interviews with Pakistan news and I think some American press as well. So people knew her name and the Taliban knew her name. And in October 2012, on her way home from school, two male Talibs got on her school bus and they shot her point blank. They also shot two of her friends, both of whom also survived. Their injuries, I don't think, were quite as serious as Malala's. She was flown to Birmingham in England, in the UK, which is where she still lives because she can't go back to Pakistan. Even though she's 18 years old and that's where she wants to live and that's what she knew all her life, her entire family has to live in the UK and it's not safe for them to return. The book is written as an autobiography and it's pretty much chronological, so it starts when she's very young and her memories of this beautiful country that she's from and sort of playing cricket in the street, and it's very lovely. Things start to change as the Taliban move in and start enforcing various rules, and all of that is seen through a child's eye and through her memories, though it remains very factual, and I assume that's the benefit of having like a co-writer and researcher. So her facts about when the Taliban came and what they did and why these political things were happening, those are very informative passages, particularly for me. I didn't know too much about the subject, and there's a really useful timeline at the back which starts in like the 1940s and takes you all the way up to present day in Pakistan's history and what exactly was going on there. She uses Pashto words, which is her first language, and there's a little glossary that translates them at the back along with the timeline. There's also a Q&A because the original edition obviously was published in 2013, so this one has a little like epilogue which covers the 2 years since. So she's done her GCSEs and she's working towards her A-levels and she's had this huge global platform. She won the Nobel Peace Prize. So there's a little passage where she kind of fills you in on life since the first book. There's also like discussion notes. So if I was a teacher, this would be compulsory reading for my students if they were young teenagers or older teenagers. So there's little discussion notes, like things you can talk about, things you can discuss, which is really nice. And there's some really lovely photo pages. This is just such an important book. I don't think you really realise you're living through what your children or what the next generation are going to be reading about in history books. Like, I don't think we really think like that when there's a presidential election or when something huge global news happens. I don't think, can you stop? I don't think we tend to think about that, but Malala is a figure who is just so important to the time that we live in, and her story is so important, and listening to it told in her words I think is incredibly important, incredibly important. I like how she writes about religion, and I like how religion is such a huge part of her. How her faith kind of keeps her strong and shapes her actions. I posted a picture of this book on Instagram and I got a few comments from people saying that they just love it. So if you're kind of sitting here watching this video and you think, oh, I'm not really into politics, I don't really know anything about the Taliban. If you're thinking those things, please don't be put off picking up this book and reading it. It's so well written, it's very clear, very easy to follow, and it will sort of captivate you. I think it's definitely sad in places, but it's really inspiring, really joyful. There's no self-pity there. Malala just has such a strong mindset about what she believes in and what she's going to do in her life. And I mean, she's very assertive, like in her prose, and also when she describes talking to journalists and so on about what she wants. But there is a sort of self-awareness and a self-doubt that, you know, she's just a teenager, and has she kind of got too much too soon in terms of all the awards and the Nobel Peace Prize. It's so interesting, like it's a teenage experience. It's a very unusual teenage experience that I would never wish upon anyone ever again. And shooting a child is just unthinkable and almost unspeakable. And so I think you will really get a lot out of this book. The publisher is Indigo, which is an imprint of Hatchet, so very cool. It's out now. And also I really love this cover, and it has a quote from J.K. Rowling on the top just to prove that it's aimed at teenagers. Lovely non-fiction, important in educating us all and fighting for education. Good, I will see you very soon. It's getting very sunny out there. Maybe I'll go outside. Bye!